So this is one of my favorite topics, actually, the closeness of time. And I came into Gyan 40 years ago, and many points of knowledge touched me, but the cycle really blew my mind. The cycle, its repetition identically, this was something I'd never, ever heard of. And I'm sure it's the same for some of you also. It's a mind-blowing phenomenon, really. But it actually is so obvious. It's amazing we haven't worked it out ourselves. So 40 years ago, when I did the Raj Yoga course, I had already accepted before Gyan that destruction was quite imminent. I had no problem with that at all, because I could see the situations that were happening, and it just seemed such an automatic and natural conclusion that this is what would happen. So 40 years, in 40 years, that concept has never left me, but the time itself has changed, and drama has changed within that. So how I understood time, how I understood its relation to destruction 40 years ago is very different from how I see it now. And I'm sure you all know this. And really, there isn't very many new points we can come up with when we share Baba's knowledge, because we're all near enough on the same page. But my kind of understanding of the closeness of time really is something I experienced this time in Madhaban. I went to Madhaban for group 2. So I came back about 2 weeks ago. And when we're in Madhaban, time has a completely different flavor, a completely different, it's completely different, because in Madhaban, it's timeless. Although there's a 24 hours of the clock and there's days of the week, the actual expansion of time when we're in Madhaban is quite amazing. When we are in our own places, when I am back here, time seems to move incredibly fast. But when I'm in Madhaban, time seems to be pretty slow. It seems to kind of stretch. And when we go to Madhaban, and I've heard many, many people say this, that when you go to Madhaban and you leave Madhaban, and maybe you don't go for a few years, it's like you pick up exactly where you left off. So where you were 2 or 3 years ago, it's like there's no time gap between that time you were there and the time you've arrived. It kind of joins up as if it's one continuous line of time. So that has always fascinated me. And it's as if, I'm sure it's caught up or connected with this whole scene when we are in our service places of being the illusion and Madhaban being the reality. And I think that is something we all come to the conclusion of, that when we leave Madhaban, we're not going back into reality, we're going back into the illusion. And so I think this also has a connection with time, or this has been my experience from this last couple of weeks that I had in Madhavan. And I had really a first-class Madhavan. It was a Madhavan that I had kind of wished for, and it actually panned out like that. I went to Madhavan for the second meeting because there are fewer people there, and that is something I wanted, because when I go in the busy seasons, I spend a lot of my time connecting with other Brahmins, which is a very lovely thing to do. But this time I wanted to have time for myself. I wanted to have some time to make some extra efforts so that I could shift some things within myself. I have a real deep desire to move into another direction or another dimension, or, you know, somewhere a bit more elevated than where I've been. And so Madhavan presented me with all of the factors that enable that to happen. Madhavan is the place where you can get up any time of the day or night. You can get up really, really early in the morning. Baba's room is completely open to you to use any of Baba's rooms. There's no restrictions. You haven't got to interact with the world. You haven't got to get on a bus or anything. It's really, really safe, and so it's open for us to use and make those kind of efforts. So I'm quite a yogi soul, basically, and yoga is one of the things I love, and I find it's something that has to be worked on nowadays to make it more substantial and more experiential and more feelings within that. And so this was my kind of thinking to make those things happen. So I had some extremely wonderful gifts. One of the gifts was to spend 10 of those days in Madhavan in a room by myself, accommodation-wise. That's always very nice, and that's sort of quite a rare thing nowadays. So that helped me to be more silent and more connected with myself. And also I stayed quite on target with my aims and objectives. So the outcome of that was that I think it was kind of connected with what Baba was saying this morning about a clean and pure intellect is able to follow Srimat accurately. So my take on that from this morning is that when I, the soul, follow Srimat accurately, and that's without any feeling of rigidity or strictness, but just a genuineness out of love, that the outcome of that is happiness. And so my experience this time in Madhavan was that I was feeling another level of happiness. So happiness is connected with contentment, joy, bliss, love. So it's not just a bubbly kind of happiness, but it's connected with these feelings as well. And my realization this time is to connect it with time, that when I'm in happiness, when I'm feeling that happiness, then I'm able to fly over obstacles, problems, situations so much more easier. And then like Baba said the other day, that if you're a like a Maharati soul, you will see all these situations as a game. And I feel, anyway, this is just my experience from the Madhaban experience, is that this is definitely connected with time. That the more I can stay in this stage of happiness, then the more I'm bringing time closer to myself. Destruction is going to happen anyway, because destruction is the outcome of truth. And the more we are connected with truth, then that's also bringing destruction closer. So I'm using destruction because when we talk about the closeness of time, we're kind of indicating that that's the time to go home. So that's all connected with destruction. So my feeling now is, for my own efforts anyway, is to find ways, yuktis, to be able to stay in that happiness, but also to elevate that happiness. So to keep increasing the feelings that I'm feeling inside. So a couple of adjustments I've kind of made to my timetable, and one is that after 5:30, 6 o'clock, I don't go on the computer. I don't I don't go into doing anything to do with office work. I can, but I choose not to. It's like I finish that. I don't go into watching the news. I don't go into any kind of expansion. And if I have free time, then I'm using that time to listen to talks, or listening to the Murli or things like that. So this is actually, for me, it's quite a breakthrough, because for a long time I've noticed that the more I indulge in finding out what's going on in the world, the more it's taken away my energy, and it actually changes the vibrations, my vibrations, and it changes things within inside me. I feel my energy changes when I indulge in that. So for since Madhaban, maybe 5 weeks now, I haven't listened to the news. I haven't watched the news. People speak about it now and again when I'm in their company, but otherwise I haven't really bothered to find out what's happening in the world. And that hasn't changed my immediate world at all. It hasn't impacted on any changes within my immediate world. And so I'm finding that really very powerful, because Baba tells us that we should, detach from the old world, not get caught up with the old world. And even though I kind of try to justify that, it's good to know what's happening, it's still, I feel, identifying with the old world. So I have been pulling myself away from that. And so because I've changed some things within my timetable, then I can actually get to bed earlier, and therefore I can get up earlier. So I am now continuing with my Amrit Velas, and Amrit Vela I don't have a problem with. I always love Amrit Vela. I love that time anyway. But now I am increasing the length of that time, and I'm much more in connection with my own feelings and my own vibrations and my own energy. And so I feel that this is the next phase in the drama, because we can't all reveal God on the level of verbalizing how we perceive God, but we can reveal God through our behavior, through our attitude, through our vibrations, through our features. And Baba has been speaking about good wishes and pure feelings. This is also very helpful. This experience of feeling more happiness is also very helpful for giving good wishes, coming from a place of pure feelings, because good wishes don't work unless our feelings are pure. So if my feelings for myself are pure, then it's much easier for me to have good wishes for others. So this helps us to settle our karmic accounts. This helps us to become free from situations, and it helps us to become free from our baggage. So all of these things are connected. So to keep the mind quiet, to keep the mind more peaceful, to keep the mind more clean, the intellect pure, these are things that we can all do, these things, because Baba, we're the only ones that can do these things. People in the world definitely don't know how to do this. So I feel now that instead of watching out to see when destruction is going to happen, by looking at all the things you can access on the internet, but to stay in this space of happiness. And when I think of Daddy Gulzar, you know, she was just so incredibly simple. All the daddies were really simple. Daddy Janki had a very good Western intellect, but they were all very simple in the way that they lived their life. But Daddy Gulzar wasn't really interested in anything, and Mama certainly wasn't interested in anything in the world. And yet, look at the words that she spoke. When we get essence of her class, it's so small, such a small paragraph, and yet it's filled with wisdom. So I feel all these things are connected with the closeness of time, that as we raise our consciousness and this connection we all have with each other, when one person moves, the whole thing moves. We all move. Like when Didi Nirmala, Dr. Nirmala left the body, it's like she rose to another level, which shifted all the players on the field. It's like Didi Sadesh has now taken on that role together with the other sister, but everything has started to move, and so we're all moving in an upwards direction. So when one of us makes a change, then everything in the drama starts to change. And I feel that this we've been waiting for a change. Well, I have anyway. I've been waiting, feeling that it's quite imminent, that something is around the corner, something is going to happen that, and we have no idea. Like in COVID, we had no idea that would happen. We had no idea the effects that would create on every human being on the planet. So something is around the corner, and we have to be at least in sync with time, even if we can't be ahead of time. And maybe we are, some are ahead of time, but I feel that at least I must be connected with being in harmony with time and being, you know, keeping up with time rather than time pushing me towards the destination. I want to be walking hand in hand with time. So I found this quite a revelation, that it is actually, maybe it sounds very so simple, but I found this quite profound, really, that all I've got to do is to stay in this space where I'm feeling this sense of contentment, fullness, love, joy, happiness, just to stay in that. And this is my efforts, this is my work now, is to keep maintaining that. And it's continued for a couple of weeks, which I think is quite amazing, because usually once people come back, once I've come back from Madaban, it's like after 5 or 6 days, you're kind of back in the same treadmill. So now I want to sustain this. I feel it's a very precious gift that Baba has given, drama has given to me, and I want to protect it. And you know, Baba gives us many different slogans that are connected with time, like suddenly, and if not now, then never, and you know, use your time in a worthwhile way, your thoughts, your energy, your money, your everything in a worthwhile way. So all of this is connected with time, and we understand the past, and we understand the present, and we understand the future. And so the future and the past, I think, are kind of nearly ready to join up. And things in the world can change within a second. And we may have thought that Ukraine and Russia was an indication that World War III was coming. Now hardly anybody is even concerned with what's happening there. And then we come up with Israel, and maybe this is it. But it can happen at any time, at any moment, in any way. I mean, the elements of nature are already, everything is already. It's us that has to be, we have to bring time close now. And so I'm feeling very, really, very inspired by this, that something quite so simple is just that. Well, anyway, maybe it will, or maybe it won't, but this is where I'm at this moment, and it feels really nice to stay in this sense of happiness. And yeah, it's connected with lightness, and it's connected with such good feelings, and yeah, I really like it. It's really nice. Maybe it's a switch from you know, making sort of, the intensity of efforts now are much more joyous because of the feeling that I'm feeling. And so I do like effort. I do like to make effort, and that's never been a huge issue for me. But now it feels like it's more fun. It's more entertaining. And I'm getting insights as well. So it's not that I'm in that space permanently, but the more I'm getting, the more I'm feeling that this is the right direction to go into. So we don't know what is next in the drama. We don't know where it's going to take us. But if we can stay in a very good, powerful, steady stage, then I think this is where we all want to be. So I think we're all moving into this direction, and I don't know whether you resonate with this or not, but I feel we're closer together now than we've ever been, in terms of on the same page. When I see new ones coming now, they grasp this knowledge very quickly. Of course, they all have to make efforts, but it's like time is bringing them up to the same level, regardless of how many years we've been in Gyan. So the gaps between us are getting smaller and smaller. And also, we were sharing this morning about time, and what Baba was saying, that you know, revelation hasn't actually come because of Brahma Baba. Brahma Baba hasn't brought about revelation that God is the God of the Gita, Shiva is the God of the Gita, or any of those points. And the daddies haven't done it, Mama hasn't done it. So there's something within us that this role of us moving on to this same page and being kind of all complete at the same time. I feel that the world will really wake up to this, and we must do something. We must do something to leave our memorials on in India and all over the world. We must do something that leaves such an impact on humanity. So I think this is a lovely place to be, and I'm really appreciating many things that Baba has done for all of us, actually, but for myself, I'm really in this stage of appreciation and gratitude for the very simple things that Baba has done in making this realization happen. And yeah, I think it's bringing that time close. And so we have to be ready. We have to make those preparations because time is calling us. So I know this is a little bit early, but could we stop for questions and just pause at this moment? Maria, would that be okay to?
Yes, I don't see any questions though. But yes, whatever you shared was very powerful. And what you said that in Madhuban, it was the right time for you to go and not be with responsibilities and groups that, okay, they take you away from your real purpose of being in Madhuban, to be close to Baba, to be far from all the situations around you, even in the Brahmin family. And that was really very powerful. And thank you for sharing it, because all of us want to have this experience and feelings when we go to Madhuban and come back and be in the illusion. In Madhuban, we are in reality, and in our places, we are in illusion. But the thing is that, well, time again, probably we cannot stay longer than 2 weeks. So it was very good that you shared, and we have to think about it. Going to Madhuban in a season that there are not so many programs, so we don't have many responsibilities, and just be with Baba and concentrate on our efforts. So please, everyone, if you have some questions, place them on the chat, because yes, it's a chance to have, okay, there is one. Any thoughts about what is missing in ourselves to bring distraction closer?
Well, I can only share what I felt was missing in myself. You know, it was happiness, actually. It was this sense of, you know, when I came into Gyan, I was actually spiritually born through Baba's Drishti. I had nearly 9 months of really incredible meditation experiences, and I had not so much in the way of knowledge, but I understood it was God, and it was just, I was sort of intoxicated the whole time, and the transformation that it made within myself was incredible. I mean, it really shifted lots of things. And my relationship with Baba has always been a very close relationship. But I think when we went through COVID and we were locked down, I found that incredibly difficult. I didn't find that, you know, I didn't, first of all, I thought, oh, how lovely. got time to myself and everything, but time then continued to be time for myself. And I found that quite difficult to cope with. And because I was very action conscious, and I was doing and doing and doing, and actually with the illusion that I was being and doing, but I was way out of balance. And I think lots of people have been out to get out of balance because anyway, in the UK, many souls have had health issues, and I think that's a sign that we were way out of balance with our doing, and what that doing had as an impact on us. So it then, when it came to stopping, people's health issues started to arise, and I also went through this as well. But I didn't find it very easy to start with, and so it took a long time for me to adjust. But time again is very useful to be able to use that time to look at the self. And that's what I found, that I'd actually so caught up with doing and taking happiness from doing, that I wasn't actually taking happiness from being, and being with Baba. And when we are with Baba, then it brings a different kind of happiness. So I feel that that's what's missing. I know people in the UK, and we've got many Brahmins in the UK, and what I've heard people say about us BKs is that we're very peaceful, and we're very quiet and silent, and we're very good at that, but we're not very good at happiness. And somebody said that some time ago, that when they look at the BKs, they don't see that they're happy. And that's not because we don't walk around smiling. I think it's that we don't give off that energy because, well, I can only speak for myself, is because that energy, what I was using was in doing. And the little bit of happiness that I got from service, it's like that was sufficient, and I didn't notice that it wasn't there. And I feel that's another thing that I've learned from Madhavan, is that it's very subtle what we take, and when it's not there, as it slides to disappear, we don't notice. I don't notice that it's actually disappearing. You know, you think you're still peaceful, but it's not as high as it can be. And when we go to Madhavan, I think this is also very important to have a kind of plan and stick to it, because when we go to Madhavan, we can reach such heights, we can touch things in ourselves, and we can have experiences with Baba that we can't have when we're back in our service stations, because responsibility, Maria, we come back into responsibility. And that's one thing that definitely makes me heavy, is responsibility. That as soon as I come back into responsibility, it's like my energy dips. Whereas when I'm in Madhavan, that sense of freedom and carefreeness. And so it's only a consciousness, because it's Baba's work, it's not my work. So this shift in consciousness, to be able to be like Daddy Prakash Mani, what an example of running the whole thing and being totally carefree. So it is possible. It's just we have to work out our own methods of how to get to that place and then hold on to that place. Because I think sometimes we get the experience and then we don't experience it again. So what I want to do in relation to this closeness of time is to keep this going. And it's good for me to say this in front of everybody, because then I have to remind myself that that's what my promise is to be in this space, and I know the difference it has on even the people that I'm, you know, serving with here. The difference in being in that space, the difference people feel from that is I get different reactions. And so I know it's okay. I know it's a good space. So I have to then put my attention back to myself, keep focusing on myself and maintaining and sustaining that. And then I hopefully this is the plan, that the other things that are still tying me in bondage will start to slip away, and then maybe we can go to the next level after that. But I think it's where am I taking my happiness from? And even in Madhuban, you know, every brother and sister in Madhuban has got a mobile, and they're all on their mobiles. It's no different from looking at people in the street here. You know, they're on their mobiles, and I feel that to me anyway. I looked at something the other night, and I could instantly feel my energy, my vibrations change, and I thought, no, I mustn't do that. I must not do that. So yeah, I'm still in process of breaking that habit, but I've got much more determination and much more clarity of what it does. So I don't know if that answers the question, but anyway, I hope I'm not speaking too fast now. When I get excited, I speak too fast.
No, you're okay. There was some complaint that you were speaking too fast, but now it's fine. No worries.
Okay.
So continuing with this question, any comment about bodiless states will bring distraction?
Yeah. Well, again, I feel much more comfortable in being silent. I feel to speak less, and vibrate more. So maybe that has a connection with the bodiless stage and destruction. I don't know, because I haven't interacted with the bigger family yet. So I want to do some experiments when I'm with the bigger family, and actually to see where everyone else is at. But I feel that, yeah, as we get more pulled into silence, and let thoughts make things happen rather than words make things happen. I mean, Daddy Yankee was just such an expert at that. She used to make amazing things happen without sharing them, and so without verbalizing it. So maybe that's also collectively when we move into that space. But definitely there's people on the planet now, some new age gurus that are seeing us, you know, as light. They're seeing consciousness coming down onto earth, some higher consciousness. They seeing that changes are happening. People out there are speaking about things. They know that this world is going to change. So we really have to be something that they can see. I don't know if we'll appear in front of them as angels, just in thought form, or whether we'll appear in front of them as angels in our physical body. But you know, when we used to see like Daddy Yankee, she's sitting on the stage and she's giving a talk, and the power that she's speaking, the truth that she's speaking, and then she comes off the stage and people go, oh, she's so small, because her energy and her enthusiasm, it just created something that you thought she was much bigger than that. So, you know, when people see us and we're in that space of truth, then we emanate something which is not well, maybe it is the truth, but that's not how, and that's what they pick up rather than, you know, white-haired old lady. It's like they feel something more than that. So I feel these things are also all connected. That, can you imagine? There's over 1 million of us that we're all in that stage, and how powerful we'll be radiating, and people will see that with their eyes, and people will see that in their dreams. It's like it's coming close. Time is moving into that direction, and all of us have kind of are not moving around as much as we used to. Do you find that we're staying a lot more where we are, and our mind is now doing, our thoughts are now doing the service. So those thoughts, because they're becoming cleaner and purer, people are picking them up. Before, when we're in the battlefield, in our head, it's like they catch them and then it's gone. Now they're collectively moving out there with a lot more force. And I don't know if any of you, I'll slow down a bit, but I don't know if any of you joined in the online silence retreat that happened at the Global Silence Buddy we had last weekend. But just the energy around the world when we Brahmins, the silence we generate when we're together, it's phenomenal. And I feel Baba can really use that. It's tangible energy that he can use to do service with. So I find all of that very, very inspiring, very inspiring. And that's connected with the closeness of time. So, yeah.
Yes, yes, I think most of us participated in this silence retreat, and it was really very powerful, and we could feel those vibrations. And you're right about what people see in us and what we vibrate. So it depends on us how much we just put in practice what Baba says, and find the time and be introverted. And yes, I don't see any other questions. Do you want to share? Okay, you're in UK and Daddy Yankee was there. Do you have to share more experiences with Daddy Yankee?
Oh, that was a fortune to have Daddy in the UK. She was such a teacher. I mean, I think all of you have, although she didn't maybe live in your countries, but all of you have had access to her presence. But she was amazing. She used to tell me off quite a lot of times, wag her finger at me quite a lot. She would love me, and then she would, wiggle her finger at me. She was just so accessible and so lovely to watch. I used to love to just watch how she worked and try to just kind of catch the thoughts that she was thinking, and how she was so accurate. I remember once when she came to Worthing, which is near where I live, and somebody had brought some flowers and put them on a table, and Daddy said, in Hindi, of course, but she said the flowers were the wrong way round. They were in a vase and they were on a table. She said they were the wrong way round. So the sister didn't know what she was talking about. So she moved them, and she said, no, they're still not right. And so she moved them again. And anyway, she did get it right. And Daddy said, someone has created this and prepared this vase of flowers, and it has a front and it has a back. And the person that's created it wanted it placed in the way so that when you look at it, that's what she's created. And I thought, how simple, down to such fine details. Daddy noticed things. She was very sharp. She came to the center here once, and I told all the team that were here, I said, if she whatever she says, just do it. Don't question, just do it. And she said she didn't like the chairs I put on the stage. She did. They looked really lovely, but she didn't like them because they weren't comfortable. So she didn't like them. So she told this brother to take the chair off the stage, and he said, where? And she said, put it there. And he thought to himself, it was a big chair. He thought, that's never going to fit in that space. And so he remembered, don't just do what she said. And he picked this chair up, and it fitted exactly in this space. Because when you have Daddy, you want to get as many chairs in the room as possible. But her eye for detail was just absolutely amazing. And yeah, she has, in fact, actually, I value her more now she's gone than I did when she was here. I took her for granted. I think lots of us did take her for granted, that she's always going to be around, and she's always going to sustain us. And when we go to London, we can just pop in and say hello, and you've only got to find some excuse to get into her room and just go and say hello to her. And every day she used to give almonds to everybody, always giving, always giving, always giving, always encouraging. I didn't go to her very many times with problems, because I usually sort those out with Baba. But once I went to her with one thing, and of course we all know each other in the UK, and there's somebody translating something that you want to share from your heart with her, and the translator is one young little Kramari. And you feel embarrassed, but Daddy would kind of sort it out. If you didn't want this one, who shall we ask? Get somebody else to translate. She was very thoughtful like that. And one of the greatest things I think I saw of her was when we had a program. I don't know if it was her birthday or something, but we were celebrating her, and it was her day. And that program, everybody was bestowing on her, compliments and love. And Genti Bem was sharing things, and she was crying and saying how much she loved Daddy. And Daddy was totally, totally detached. Everybody in the audience nearly everybody was in tears, because there was so much love being given to her. And I thought, how is she handling this without actually getting pulled into the emotions? And it just shows you how, she said all the time, I was thinking, this is Baba. Baba's done this. I haven't done anything. Baba's done this. And so I found that, these odd occasions when she really demonstrated her greatness. Yeah, such an amazing character. And then once I got to once in Shantivan, once I was in Daddy's cottage, and one of the Kumaris told me to go for a walk with Daddy. She used to walk around the big hall there. She used to just go out for a walk at 4 o'clock, and she saw that I was going for a walk with her, and she didn't like this idea. I knew she didn't want me to do it, but I'd been told to do it, so I did. And so she made me, because she's short, she liked to walk with people that were her size. She didn't like to walk, and I'm quite a bit taller than her. And so I had to walk like this, because she was holding my hand, and I had to hold my hand down. and I walked like this, and she made me walk like this because she didn't want to hold her hand up because I was taller than her, and it made her feel like a child, maybe, I don't know. But it was a very funny experience to go out with her. But you know, she did it, but I knew that she didn't want me to walk with her. So you know, lots of lovely things. And once I was in Madhuban for 4 months, and she sent me to lots of different places. And I went in October, and I came back at the end of January. And she sent me for 2 weeks to somewhere, and then I'd come back for Baba's meeting, and then she'd send me another 2 weeks somewhere else to do service. And I mean, that was in 2004. So, and that was also very special experience, because it's not something you can kind of do nowadays. It's much more controlled, whereas when she was around, it was. So I went off and did all sorts of things. Me and Baba, I was on a honeymoon with Baba, so that was another story. But she gave me lots of opportunities to go and do service. And you know, when you get opportunities to do service that you don't normally do, you grow so much. You learn while you're doing it. So yeah, she used to give everybody opportunities, really, to do all sorts of things. And always, what's next? What amazing thing can we do next? You know, it's what's the next plan? What can be greater than what we've just done? Okay, what can we've got to find something that's bigger than that. So very big thinker. And that, I think, the UK misses. We don't have somebody that's generating those kind of big thoughts. But it's a time when we should be withdrawing and using our thoughts, I think, for world service.